Hey guys, it's Chris at Highline Guitars. You're watching another one of my YouTube guitar building videos. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I hope that by the end of this video, I'll have earned your subscription. And of course, to everybody who's watching, whether you subscribe or not, if you enjoy this video and get something out of it, or if you would just like to be nice, click that thumbs up button. I can't stress enough how important that is, not only to promote my channel, but it also helps YouTube to understand what kind of videos that you like to watch so that they will serve up videos that are more in line with your interests. Anyway, in today's video, what I want to talk about is I'm going to be fixing a warped pickguard. Now, in a previous video, I fixed the trim ring for this guitar, which was also warped. And at the time, when I first got the guitar, when it was first brought in, my assumption was heat had somehow played a role in causing this warpage. But as I started taking things apart, something else occurred to me. It was the fact that both the pickguard and the trim ring were aftermarket parts. A previous owner had installed them. And as it turns out, they didn't fit perfectly. Most of the holes did line up, but a couple of holes were off. So when they installed both the pickguard and the trim ring, they sort of had to force it into position. And that caused stress towards the center, which caused the pickguard to bow. And with the trim ring, because the holes didn't quite line up, by forcing it to line up when they installed it, that caused the sides of the trim ring to bow out. So I was able to fix it. And I'm going to show you how I do the pickguard in a few minutes here. But when I went to install the trim ring, the pickup trim ring back on this guitar, I discovered that because those holes didn't line up, it was just going to bow out again because it's plastic and there's nothing I could really do to solve that. So I went through all my parts drawers and I found a metal trim ring that is the exact same shape as the trim ring, the plastic trim ring that came on here. The difference was the holes actually lined up better. So I decided instead of reinstalling the repaired plastic trim ring, I would just replace it altogether with a metal trim ring. And that's what I've done here. But with the pickguard, I need to keep that as is. I thought about replacing it with a new one, so I contacted the manufacturer, LTD, told them I had this TE200 guitar on my workbench and I wanted to replace the pickguard. Can they sell a pickguard replacement? And they responded back and said they don't sell replacement parts for their guitars. Instead, they recommended that I contact an aftermarket pickguard maker and ask them to custom make a pickguard for this. And the one they recommended was WD Guitar Parts. And I've used WD before many times. And I know that they do a really good job making all kinds of custom pickguards. But the only way to get a pickguard that would actually fit would be to send this pickguard to WD with a note explaining that one of the holes is not in the right location. Well, in the end, I thought that's just going to take a lot of work and there's no guarantee that it's actually going to work. And it's going to be fairly expensive to do that. And I don't think that the current owner of this guitar wanted to invest that kind of money into a pickguard. So I am faced with having no choice but to fix this pickguard. So let's head out to the shop and do just that. Okay, so I've got this pickguard and it's not flat. It's bowed up in this area right here. It doesn't sit down flat. So to fix that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up the pickguard with just a simple hairdryer. And I could use a heat gun, but I'd have to be really careful because a heat gun is likely going to potentially melt the plastic, and obviously I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to heat it up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it down in the middle of this big slab of this is marble. It's a marble tabletop, and I found this at a local Goodwill several years ago, and I love this surface because it's absolutely dead flat and I can use it to sharpen my tools and things like that. or I can put sandpaper on it and sand surfaces absolutely dead flat. But for this purpose, I'm just using it to back up this pickguard as I heat it up and then press it down flat. You could also use a thick sheet of like 3/4 inch thick plywood. You would need a couple of them though. But I've set it on top of this piece of scrap alder. And what I'm going to do is once I heat it up is I'll place this slab of maple over the top, and then I'll clamp it down with a pair of ratchet clamps. And I'll leave it that way until the plastic cools, and hopefully this surface will be nice and flat. So I'm going to go ahead and start heating it up with my hair dryer. All right, now I'm going to let this sit for probably about an hour or so, let it cool down, and hopefully when I pull these clamps off and remove this piece of maple, I'll have a nice flat pickguard. Okay, it's been about an hour, so I'm going to remove the clamps, and we'll see if the pickguard is now flat. Yep, completely flat. So I can now reinstall it on the guitar. Okay guys, I've got the pickguard reinstalled, and as you can see, it's pretty flat. It's not perfect, but the problem with this particular design is that there is no mounting hole up here, and there's no mounting hole down here, like you often find with Telecaster style pickguards. I could even put a hole here and put a mounting screw here, but I don't want to drill any holes in this guitar. It's not mine. But if I was to do it in the best possible way, I would replace this pickguard and actually drill holes for mounting so that it would be more secure. That's the problem with these plastic pickguards. They're never really completely flat. I find even the multi-ply, like a 3-ply pickguard, can sometimes have that same issue. Metal or wood would be even better, but then we're getting into increased expense, and I don't think that the owner necessarily wants to spend a lot of money. This isn't I wouldn't call this a cheap guitar. For me, a cheap guitar is somewhere around $200–300 or less. This is a $500 guitar. So, yeah, I think I'll give it back to the owner, and if he's happy with it, great. If not, we can explore other options, like I can custom make a pickguard, because I have a CNC machine and I've made pickguards before, but I could use this one as a template to make a new one and add a couple of extra mounting holes to keep it nice and flat. But we'll just keep it as is for now. But that's how I flatten a pickguard that has warped, either as a result of exposure to extreme temperatures or because it didn't fit properly in the first place. But there is one other thing I did do, is I enlarged this hole up here slightly so that the screw will be in the right position and it won't force this pickguard. It won't create stress in the center, which would cause it to bow up. So, but you can kind of see that the hole isn't positioned exactly right now, but I don't think that's any big deal. It's pretty small, minor issue. So, all right, there you have it. So until the next episode, as always, take care, stay safe. Click the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Click the like button if you enjoyed the video. And if you want to help support the channel financially, you can head over to eguitarplans.com or the Highline Guitars merch store. There are links in the description below, or you can click that thanks button and leave a tip in the amount that you want. So until the next episode, take care, stay safe, and I will hope to see you back for future guitar building adventures.